And we're back with Marvel Live 2018 at San Diego Comic-Con. I want that pinball machine. It's actually on its way to transit to my house in New York. But we have an amazing new guest. We have Matt Rosenberg.
Thank you. That's all I needed.
That's all you needed. Thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, thank you for being here. How's your Comic-Con so far?
It's Comic-Con-y. It's real busy. It's hard to walk around, but there's a lot of cool stuff. So
very cool.
I like it.
That's awesome.
So you've written a ton of stuff for Rocket Raccoon. And
Rocket Raccoon,
Kingpin,
Secret Warriors, a lot of stuff.
A lot of stuff. And now you're going to be writing for Astonishing X-Men.
Yes.
Tell us anything you possibly can about Astonishing X-Men. This is such a big deal. We're so psyched for you.
Okay.
We don't want you to get in trouble either.
No, I mean, I probably will, but...
I do. I have secrets.
The Astonishing X-Men team is... we want to do something a little different than what's been going on with the X-Men. So this is a team of X-Men who have sort of fallen from grace a little bit. They're lapsed X-Men or X-Men who've left or are having a bad time. So it's Havoc and Dazzler and Beast and Colossus and Warpath. And if you haven't read the book, now's where you cover your ears because I'm about to reveal who the secret member is. It's in issue 13, which is already out, so you should have already read it. But if you didn't, our last member is we're bringing Banshee back. He's been gone for a while. And it's them trying to be big and heroic in the face of their past and who they've been and the troubles they've had. So I'm really excited about it. It's sort of a different feel for X-Men books than we've had in a bit.
That's awesome. You're also, Multiple Man is back.
Multiple Man is back.
He is back. The first issue is out. Be sure to read it. It's on, check it out. He's technically not back from the dead, but kind of back from the dead. Talk to us about that.
Yeah, so Multiple Man's one of those guys. He died in Death of X. The Terrigen Mist killed him, and it was very sad. He's one of my favorite characters, and basically, I wish there was some smart, elaborate story, but basically at one of the Marvel Writers' Summits where all the writers and the editors and everyone gets together and talk, it got real quiet for a minute, and I just raised my hand and I said, we should do a Multiple Man book. And someone said, he's dead. And I said, but what if he wasn't? And everyone sort of shrugged, and then weirdly they let me do the book. So that's what it is. It's Multiple Man, back from the dead, sort of. It's a duplicate of Multiple Man trying to survive, but he is time traveling and working with technology and medicine to try and save himself because he's dying. And
he comes back as Multiple Man Cable and Multiple Man Deadpool.
Yeah. In the end of the first issue, a team comes to rescue him because he's been captured by the X-Men. Not captured, but he's in their custody and they're not happy with him. And a team of multiple men who are from the future have come back to rescue him. And people have said the first issue is really crazy, and I just read through issue 5, our last issue, and I was like, oh yeah, the first issue is definitely the least crazy. So... take that for what it's worth.
Yeah. I feel like it's always a good idea to have a multiple of yourself just hanging around, laying around in case you die.
Especially from the future, too.
Yeah.
Right?
Very, very smart planning.
Yeah, he's clever. He seems really stupid a lot of the time, but he's pretty clever.
I can't think that much brain between one man.
Yeah.
There's got to be some smarts hiding around in there, some cleverness.
Somewhere, deep down.
That's awesome. So... when you found out that they gave you the green light to write Multiple Man, what went through your mind? Cool, this is my playground. I can do whatever I want with it because you look like you're having fun with it.
No, it's. I'm really proud of the book. My first thought was, oh man, they really shouldn't have done that. If I'm being honest.
Now, I also want to talk to you about Punisher.
Okay.
Because Punisher is one of my favorite characters.
Mine as well.
You put Frank Castle in the War Machine armor. It went berserko.
Yes.
And I just want to hear everything that was going through your head when you put Frank Castle through this story.
Yeah.
The War Machine armor, when we started that, I got the Punisher, and my instructions were, go crazy and do something really insane we haven't seen before. And I sent a bunch of ideas in, and I said, what about the War Machine armor? And they were like, yes. And immediately I was like, oh, wait, no, that was not a good idea. That was a joke, which seems to be a theme in my career, but
they're all paying off.
Yeah, it seems to be going okay.
Yeah, sometimes you just got to lean in to those weird decisions that you make.
And I'm really happy with it because we're closing out the second arc of the War Machine where he will the last issue is 228, and then we come back in a month with a new number 1. I'm writing, Simon Kondransky is drawing, and it's beautiful. But Yeah, the War Machine story, the thing I'm most happy with is that every issue that comes out, people are like, oh, this isn't what I thought it was going to be. This is not where not where I thought it was going. And that's something I really love, because the Punisher is one of my favorite characters, and he's very simple. He's very focused and determined and unchanging. And so the challenge is really to surprise people with the Punisher a lot. And so I'm really happy with the fans have been awesome, and I feel really lucky to do that. And now we have to take him out of the armor and do it again, which is a little harder. But I think we're going to do it. The first issue is real crazy.
Yeah. It's like, how do you take one of the best killers of the Marvel Universe and make him even more of a killer? Give him a War Machine armor.
Yeah. It's I'm really proud of the last issue of the War Machine arc. I don't think I haven't seen anyone guess where it's going. And I read through it and I was like, oh, this is the best issue. Like, what happens to him, I'm super excited about. And there's a little, the issue sort of ends, and then there's a little extra one-page thing at the end, which sets up our next series that I think people are going to go crazy for. So I'm really excited about that.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, I'm really excited to hear where this is going next. Were you expecting to continue on with the Punisher?
No, I mean, I always had plans. I always had a thing I wanted to do that I was like, he's one of my all-time favorite characters since I was a little kid. And, I think Garth Ennis's Punisher run is in the top 5 best Marvel comics ever made. So I like to think long, but plan for short.
Yeah.
And so, when the War Machine stuff came out, they said, yeah, you can keep going. And I was really excited. And I said, oh, I have plans already. And then when the War Machine stuff was wrapping, they were like, you want to keep going? And I said, yes. And I had plans in place. But no, I mean, I thought I was only going to get 6, and that would be the end. But so I'm really happy to still be on it.
These comics are such different genres. We talked about Astonishing X-Men and Multiple Man and the Punisher. How does your writer brain switch between these?
It is, I always used to think like, oh, you just focus on the project. But there is a little bit, like, Multiple Man's a comedy. The Punisher is not.
It's funny in like a dark sense.
It's funny for some people.
Yeah, it's funny for some people.
For some strange, questionable people.
Yeah, and so there is a little bit sometimes of like, I will get a note of like, Frank made a joke there that he wouldn't make. But I also think that that's what's beautiful about the Marvel Universe is that it is all interconnected and not changing characterization, but like tone can bleed from one book to the other. And I try to do that a lot with my stuff. So like this stuff, when I wrote Tales of Suspense, there's a civil war going on, and that civil war in this country has affected the Punisher. The Punisher goes there, and he's a big part of that civil war. And then that civil war, the chaos the Punisher caused, affected the story in Secret Warriors, and it all spills around in different ways. And I think that's really, really the fun of the Marvel Universe, is that it's one big tapestry. And when we get to do it with X-Men, like, it's all built in, like with X-Men Red and Blue and Gold and Gambit and Rogue, like Old Man Logan, we all sort of play together and like nod to each other. And I think that's the most fun. So in some ways I just do it on a smaller scale in my own head, which is maybe not healthy, but that's what I have to do.
That's so cool.
So in doing my Matthew Rosenberg homework, I know that
Okay.
you have a pretty strong background in indie music
Yes.
and DIY, and you talked about putting together soundtracks while you're writing things.
Yes.
I would love to hear more about that,
Yeah.
because that sings to me, no music pun intended.
Sure.
But yeah, like do you have like a different soundtrack to go with each of those different tones?
Yeah, for sure. I always listen to music when I write, and a lot of times I'll post on Twitter if I'm working late at night, like, oh, this is what I'm listening to, and people really like it. When I don't do that, it's because people are very confused. If I'm like, oh, I'm writing The Punisher and I'm listening to Taylor Swift, people find that very weird, but sometimes that's how it goes. But yeah, I mean, I think there's just certain things that, I know some writers like to listen to soundtracks and scores. I don't like to do that because I feel like you listen to the Indiana Jones soundtrack and that sort of bleeds into the work. But there's a lot of music. I listen to a lot of different stuff, like kind of all over the place, and I really like, I just never write without music. Like, I have to do it. So, and that's, my whole life I've always had music on. I grew up in a very musical household, and like you said, I put out records and I used to tour with bands. So like, I feel like, comics writing, you should be putting a lot of yourself into it, and so I want to make sure that I'm at my most me when I do the work.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. It doesn't sound too
Totally.
pretentious.
Yeah, no, it totally makes sense.
Okay.
We have some questions from Twitter.
Okay.
And we always pre-vetted already.
All right.
Yes.
Be nice, Twitter.
In your experience, what's the most fulfilling part for writing for Marvel?
Oh, I mean, it's a lifelong dream. I say this all the time, and I'm sure people are annoyed, but like I learned to read by stealing my brother's X-Men comics. Marvel is, I'm as big a Marvel nerd as anyone you're going to meet, and it's just a dream come true. I get to play with these characters that I've loved for my whole life, and yeah, I can't think of anything else I'd rather be doing. Yeah. So the answer is just all of it is the most fulfilling. I love being here, and I love writing the books, and I love hearing what everyone else is doing and be involved. Like, it's amazing. Yeah.
Very cool. See, another question that I picked because I love the Punisher also.
Okay.
What do you think is the role of the Punisher in the Marvel Universe? Is he a villain, an anti-hero, a warning to other superheroes on what can happen if you cross the morality line?
The Punisher is
deep one.
It is.
Deep,
the Punisher is very complicated, and I know that some fans think he's a hero, and some people see him as a villain. I think you have to approach the Punisher as if he is his own entity, and in an Avengers book, the Punisher is going to be a villain. In a big, you know, in his own book, he's a hero, and it's nice because the Marvel Universe is built to fluctuate like that. He's not a good guy in the classic sense. He's getting some good things done, but in bad ways. And that's sort of what I wanted to approach in the series, is that my answer is always he's a simple answer to really complex questions. That like he only does one thing, and that's punish people. And it's not as black and white. The world is not as black and white. And so he's not built for that. And so we're going to be seeing that a lot in the Punisher series coming up, that he sees bad guys and wants them destroyed, but in doing that, he's doing bad things, and the heroes don't like it. So we're trying to present a lot of different sides to it and approach it. Take sort of all views of the Punisher into account, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yes.
So one last question.
Yes.
I'm going to compile it with one of my own.
Okay.
So this is the Twitter part. Who is your favorite Marvel superhero? This is my part. Who would you want to sit down with coffee, Marvel character-wise?
Okay. My favorite Marvel superhero, I'm going to give the cop-out answer and do two, and that is Havoc and Magic are my two favorite. I'm an X-Men fan, and they were always the two that spoke to me when I was a kid, and are still, I think, such rich, interesting characters. Who would I want to sit down and have coffee with? I don't drink coffee, but
or listen to the soundtrack.
Chocolate milk.
I'll have some chocolate milk with.
You can have chocolate milk with.
I feel like it's the cop-out answer, but Captain America.
Captain America.
He's got so much history, and he's interesting and inspiring. And
I love that answer.
That's great.
Yeah,
That's exactly someone you'd have chocolate milk with,
yeah,
too.
yeah.
He'll inspire you to be better.
Yeah.
I feel like he'll inspire me to be better.
Yeah, and you get his autograph, and, probably goes for a bunch on eBay.
If you were going to write for Captain America, is that something you think you'd ever want to pursue?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I love Cap. He's one of my all-time favorites.